So I've made videos comparing adaptations of Sherlock Holmes, Irene Adler, and Mycroft Holmes. Today I'm going to take on Professor James Moriarty. My question today is there an accurate adaptation of Professor James Moriarty? A lot of people in the comments from my other videos recommended I watch Moriarty the Patriot. One person even went so far to warn me that it was quite an off-the-wall take of Sherlock Holmes. So I feel I should make this clear. I do not have a problem with creative plots or premises with established properties. I like seeing characters that I'm familiar with in different settings or scenarios, like all of the updated Shakespeare adaptations, or even Clueless, a modern adaptation of one of my favorite authors, Jane Austen, and her novel Emma. My issue is when they fundamentally change who that character is. I get it. You can't keep adapting the same stories over and over again, so something has to change. But if the characters aren't the same, what's left to connect it to the original property? I talked a while ago in a video about adapting books into films about the Duff, the movie, and the book. Yes, I watched and read both, but the only thing that stayed the same between the two were the characters' names. And the title, of course. It's like they bought the rights to the book just to use its title. So my main problem with adaptations is when they change the character. Like Fanny Price in Mansfield Park. Loved the movie, but it wasn't a good adaptation of that book. Instead of writing Fanny like she appears in the book, they made her a proto-Jane Austen.
Henry VI. It was in this reign that Joan of Arc lived, and made such a fuss among the English. They should not have burnt her.
And then brought her to an untimely, unmerited, and scandalous death, much to the eternal shame of the monarchy and the entire kingdom.
By a partial, prejudiced, and ignorant historian.
Which did not fit with the original story, which in the movie stayed the same except for a couple of character motivations. So in my search for a good Moriarty, I watched many adaptations. I didn't get to many due to time, but let's go over what I watched and what I remember. So I did watch Moriarty the Patriot. I found it interesting and intriguing. I have to admit, because I always have so much to do, I had to multitask while watching it, which was okay while I was watching the dub of the show. But Crunchyroll only allows you to watch 3 dubs without an account, and then you have to watch the subtitles. So I kept getting confused. I don't understand why there was an Albert James Moriarty and a William James Moriarty. Like, why? Okay, and excuse the language, but Sherlock gave huge fuckboy energy, especially when dealing with Mrs. Hudson. And even though I got to almost the end of the episodes that are up on Crunchyroll, I have no idea what happened after Irene Adler faked her death and joined the Moriarty gang. At that point, I'm afraid to admit the episodes were just playing in the background. I looked up once and someone said Jack the Ripper took his name. I'm sorry. Are you saying that you killed those women? Or that you're a serial killer named Jack the Ripper and someone else took your name while taking credit for the Whitechapel murders? Again, so lost. Up until I got hopelessly lost, I was enjoying the show, so I probably should just go back and rewatch those episodes. Now, someone who I always thought was a good adaptation of Moriarty, even though he wasn't in a Sherlock Holmes show, was Elias from Person of Interest. For those of you who don't know, Person of Interest is about an all-seeing machine built by the government to predict terrorist attacks. But instead, it predicted all crimes, not just terrorist attacks. So a ragtag team pulled together in order to prevent the other crimes. They receive a number from the machine every week, and they must investigate to find out if the person is a prospective perpetrator or victim. When we first meet Elias, he is a teacher, and the number 1 enforcer for Team Machine protects him from an entire gang in a slum. By the end of the episode, we discover that Elias is not the victim, he is the perpetrator.
You really don't get it, do you?
I thought you didn't like guns.
You know, sometimes you have to do things you don't like.
Like teaching history to the children of your enemies?
Brighton Beach belongs to me now.
And also a very dangerous crime lord over a very extensive criminal enterprise. He becomes a recurring character. Sometimes they're working against him, sometimes he's working with them. But eventually he becomes an ally of the team because of the threat they're up against. More on that in Friday's video. Someone commented that House had a Moriarty. House was basically Sherlock Holmes, but as a doctor, which was appropriate because Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was inspired to create Sherlock Holmes based off of a doctor who taught him in medical school. The commenter said the character was revealed to be Moriarty in the credits and was a patient's husband. I don't remember this episode, but I'm probably gonna look for it. Someone else told me there is a Moriarty in Enola Holmes too. I can't remember a single thing that happened in that movie, so I can't say if she was a good adaptation or not.
Their deaths were so unnecessary. But Superintendent Grail was somewhat of a blunt instrument. I take advantage. What were my advantages? Treated like a common servant when I have twice the mind of yours. Any of yours.
Now, to start ranking the Moriartys I'm familiar with from bad to good. So of course, we must start with Elementary and their Irene Adler / Jamie Moriarty. She was the worst Irene Adler adaptation for me. Some people in the comments said that they didn't mind her being Irene Adler since it was just a cover and that's not who she really was.
Moriarty said you weren't to be harmed. But then a few hours ago, she tried to have me killed.
She?
Bet you wish you'd run away with me when you had the chance.
Moriarty.
Why would you do this? Seduce me and lead me to believe that you'd been murdered?
You're the detective Sherlock, you tell me.
But I just can't with either side of this adaptation, especially since they made her the love of Sherlock's life. So now Sherlock is in love with his intellectual equal. That almost feels like Loki falling in love with another Loki from an alternate universe. Seriously, the only person he could love was himself.
I've been where you are. I've felt what you feel. I just want you to be okay.
So yeah, it's still a no for me, dog. Next, we have Watson, what I call Black House. Now in this show, James Moriarty has killed Sherlock Holmes and spent the entire season messing with Watson. In the end, Watson kills Moriarty. You know, the dude so diabolical that even the great Sherlock Holmes couldn't beat him.
As your doctor, I have to tell you that the cure didn't work as well as I hoped. I'm worried that you may have a stroke in the very near future.
I think most of the effort for this Moriarty was in the casting, but they gave dude absolutely nothing to work with. He just smiled in Watson's face and frowned when he turned his back. Ooh, scary.
Mufasa. Ooh. Do it again. Mufasa.
Next is the Moriarty I hate the most from BBC Sherlock. He was like nails on a chalkboard for me.
Jim Moriarty. Hi.
Playing Jim from IT. Playing gay. Did you like the little touch with the underwear?
People have died.
That's what people do!
His overacting was so annoying, and then they had the nerve to play him up like he was some great villain.
I will burn the heart out of you.
And he was barely mediocre to me. I really can't articulate how much I hate this Moriarty. He didn't even feel like a fun update on the character. Instead of making him a respected member of society, they made him a nobody, who everyone mocked. I feel like a better version of Moriarty was the rich dude who was going around killing people in the hospital. Frankly, he really didn't demonstrate any criminal greatness to me. And he didn't feel like an equal to Sherlock.
Sorry, boys! I'm so changeable. It is a weakness with me, but to be fair to myself, it is my only weakness. I would try to convince you, but everything I have to say has already crossed your mind.
Basically, between Elementary, Watson, and BBC Sherlock, this was a three-way tie for awful for me. I hate them all equally. So above this awful group is the Moriarty from Jeremy Brett's Sherlock. He was a faithful adaptation, if not a little boring. But like everything else in the Jeremy Brett adaptations, it was like he jumped straight off the page into the show.
It's a dangerous habit to finger loaded firearms in the pocket of one's dressing gown. All that I have to say has already crossed your mind.
And possibly my answer has already crossed yours.
You stand fast.
Absolutely.
The situation is becoming an impossible one.
Have you any suggestion to make?
It has been an intellectual treat to me to see the way in which you've grappled with this matter. But I say unaffectedly that it would be a grief to me to be forced to take an extreme measure.
There were no deviations. Finally, my favorite and who I feel is the best Moriarty is from A Game of Shadows. He is not only a professor, a respected member of society, a math genius, he had the extra plus of being scary. None of the other Moriartys on this list have been scary. But this one made you believe that Sherlock had met his intellectual equal and would be very hard to beat. And I'm not talking about the annoying sequences where they each predict the other's moves before they finally fight.
His advantage, my injury. My advantage, his rage. Incoming assault, Ferrell.
Trap arm. Target weakness. Follow with haymaker.
Ah, there we find the boxing champion of Cambridge.
I'm talking about the very literal chess game that they played, which displayed the complex game of one-upmanship between the two of them.
We both have two bishops. I may be absent from the room, but my methods are not.
You can't be Dr. Watson, surely. Seems your bishop was of some benefit, after all. Think you've just lost your most valuable piece.
A winning strategy sometimes necessitates sacrifice.
So you're not fighting me so much as you are the human condition. All I want to do is own the bullets and the bandages.
Bishop takes knight, check.
The game is over.
About that fortune of yours, I believe it's just been substantially reduced.
So yeah, he is my favorite Moriarty. Side note, and off the subject, back when they were casting for a Fantastic Beast, some people wanted this actor to play young Dumbledore because his father played the original Dumbledore. I would have liked to seen that because I'm not really a fan of Jude Law. But yeah, according to my list, there have only been 2 really good Moriartys. But I was also told that Moriarty has appeared in The Librarians and The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So there is still hope that he may have had a good adaptation in those stories. So who is your favorite Moriarty? Tell me in the comments below. Also, thanks to Matthew Wolf Hood, who donated to the channel through Ko-fi. If you want to be like Matthew and support the channel, please subscribe, join my membership, or donate through Ko-fi, Cashapp, or Super Thanks. Or you can purchase merch related to my fantasy novel or just buy my fantasy novel, The Fairy Princess. And let's continue the conversation in the Fairy Princess Facebook group. All links in the description. Thanks.